What's up class, Evans here. I'm going to teach you how to use CAD, and we're going to use the program called OnShape. This is a program used by a lot of professionals. There are many other brands out there, and they're all very similar. If you know one, you can figure out any other. To get started, you just have to click Create and go down to Document. Now I'm going to teach you two methods with this same part. One is going to be called Subtractive, and the other is going to be called Additive. Subtractive is like taking a block of wood and cutting away things. Additive, think of it a little bit more like 3D printing something. They're two really useful methods to how to approach to make something. Because if I hand each of you the same part, I bet after I teach you, many of you would try different directions to accomplish that. Now, all the parts that I'm going to give you will have a title, and then I'm going to want you to put the class. So put like a space, and let's say you're in my second period, then I want you to put a 2, and then I want you to put your initials behind it. Mine, of course, are JLE, and then you will put your initials. If you don't have a middle name, then two letters, of course, is just fine. So that will be create. And we'll let that load. So let me just kind of explain the window that we have here. Up at the top, we have something called a ribbon. And in here, we have all the 3D tools that you can use. Some of them are cramped down. And if you were to, let's say, minimize this, they get cramped down a little bit further. So if you have a hard time finding something, click the little arrows and you'll be able to find your correct button. This ribbon does change depending on other buttons that you press. For instance, when I go to Sketch, it has a 2D ribbon that's a little different. In here is the features window. This is where all the parts that we make will exist, and we can kind of zoom in and out of there. This is called a view cube. It's real easy to kind of turn around and look at things at different directions. And if you ever get like super lost, if you just click on one of these corners, it kind of brings things back to the center. Over here on the side, I have what's called the features window. Here's where all the different things that we're going to do exist, and you can put a number of parts in one part file. And I'll show you that a little bit later. Here is the graphics window where the parts that we're going to make or a single part would exist. We have these little things called work planes. Viewing it from the right view, viewing it from the front view, viewing it from the top view. And you can view a lot of very angled, simple views in what's called the view cube over here. It has some very simple controls to kind of move it around. You can rotate it any direction. And if you start to rotate it out and you can't find where you are, just click any one of these corners and it kind of brings it back to the center for you. And then you can kind of click it around till you get the view that you like. That's it for kind of the basic stuff. A lot of your mouse controls, let me show you real quick. You don't have to follow me here, but if we go down to my account and click preferences, it showed you this stuff at the beginning and I had you click through it real quick, but there's something called mouse controls here. And if you want to rotate, or pan or zoom or anything like that, it shows you how to do that in the 3D assembly, and it shows you how to do that in a 2D drawing. Now, if you're using a touchpad at home, the controls are quite different. I would look those up online, but it's pretty straightforward, and I'll show you. If I want to zoom in and out, that's simply just the mouse button. That's the wheel, so just rotating the wheel. If I want to click and drag stuff, I click with the wheel down and move it around. Those are kind of your most basic ones. If I want to rotate it, of course I showed you that you can rotate here, but if you click the right mouse, this guy right here, this side, not the left mouse, but the right mouse, if you click that and hold, you can rotate things a little bit there too. It's a little bit out of control. I prefer to just use the view cube, but it depends on what you feel comfortable with as you begin to use this program more often. All right, let's get straight to it. You're making a part. You can see it on the side of the window there, and it's very simple. It's just got an L shape and a little cube sticking out the back. Now, everything in this is either 1 inch, 2 inch, or 3 inch. It's very simple dimensions. And so this part ends up being 2 inches tall, 2 inches in depth, and 3 inches in width. And so that's what I'm going to make. I'm going to click Sketch right here, front, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. The rectangle tool is over here on the left. Notice how the ribbon changed. All the buttons up here are now different. They're now 2D looking things. So we have a line tool, rectangle tool, circle. These are kind of the main ones that I'll use with you at the beginning. So I'm just gonna click on the corner rectangle as it has it. There's a couple of different ways to draw rectangles. The corner is the one I'm gonna use. It should automatically be there. I'm just gonna click right on the origin. This is like the center of everything, where all three front, right, and top planes intersect. So think of it like origin in math on a graph. I'm gonna come out, and those numbers that are right there do not matter. It doesn't matter what they say. I'm going off to the right side and I'm clicking. Now notice how one of them is highlighted. I'm just gonna click on my keyboard 3. Notice how it fills it in? Then I'm gonna press enter and it jumps to the other one. And I'm gonna press 2, enter. And I'm gonna hit escape so that I'm not making another rectangle. So I have two dimensions here, that this rectangle is 2 inches by 3 inches. Now, you don't have to do this if yours worked. I'm just gonna show you what to do if you draw it and you didn't get dimensions, which is easy to do. There's a tool up here that's called dimension. I'm gonna click on it, I'm gonna click on a side, and then now I can type in my numbers. So it's a pretty easy thing to set up to draw. So I'm gonna click the check mark. I'm gonna click it at an angle so I can see what's happening. And I'm gonna click the extrude button. Now extrude takes something and it makes it 3-dimensional. It can take a square and make it a cube. It can make a circle into a cylinder. Any shape that you want, it extends it out. So I'm gonna click on my rectangle here, and I want it to extrude forward 2. So I'm gonna press 2, click here and press 2, and then enter. Now I have my first 3D block. And you can turn it around and kind of play with the controls and visualize it. Now my next step is I want to cut out that top part to make that kind of L shape. So I'm gonna click my sketch tool, and it's kind of straightforward from now on. Everything else I'm showing you isn't anything new. I'm gonna click on this face. I'm gonna click the rectangle tool. And if you want, you can click the front view so it's facing you. I'm gonna click the corner. Make sure that you're clicking on that corner. I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna click. The numbers don't matter until I start typing. I'm gonna press 2, enter, 1, enter. Now again, if you accidentally messed up and you missed one of those, you can use the dimension tool to add it back in. I'm gonna click the check mark. Now before I extruded the block, now this is subtractive method, I'm gonna be removing things because that's what subtraction means. So I'm going to click extrude. I'm gonna click on the block I just made, and I'm gonna click the button that says remove. Now notice it doesn't go all the way through the part. I do want it to go all the way through, so you have two options. You can either click through all, or if you wanted on the number, you could have typed 2. Either will work. And click the check mark. Now I kind of have like an L shape, but if you notice in our part, there's a part of it missing in the back area here. So I'm gonna do the same thing we just did. I'm gonna click sketch, but instead of from the front of the block, I'm gonna do it from the top of the block, and I'm gonna cut down into it. So I'm gonna click here, click top. Let me move this so it's easier to see. I'm gonna click corner rectangle. Now I'm gonna click right on this dot, and I'm gonna go out. Notice I'm gonna pass this line, and I'm gonna click. Again, 2, enter, 1. And if you missed one of those numbers, just use the dimension tool. Now, when I look at this thing from an angle, it looks a little weird. I've got my rectangle that I just made hovering out over open space, and that's okay. That's what we want it to do. So I'm gonna hit extrude. Again, I am removing it, and I want it to go all the way through. And when I come to click what I want it to remove, I need to click two things, because that line cut my rectangle in half. I need to click both halves, and then done. So now you've made your first part in OnShape. We're gonna make this same part again, but I'm gonna show you a faster method so that you have different ways of approaching making the things I give you this year. Now, it's already automatically saved. Once you open up a part, it starts auto-saving for you where you left off last. Once you're done with this, just call me over to your desk and I'll take a look at it, and I'll look at your features window and double check things, and then I'll check off that you've got it and you can move to the next part. Later on, I will share with you a better way to share things, but just to make it kind of fast and me give you feedback right away, I want to grade it at your desk. So call me over, let me check it, and then you can move on to the next video. Bye.